And welcome back to the Hangar Cafe. Once again, this is RB, Squadron Leader of 101 Air Wing, or Air Group in Metalstorm. And for today's topic, we're going to cover maximizing your time. So, what do we mean by maximizing your time or flight time? It's simple. Not everyone is blessed or gifted with the luxury of being able to spend a lot of time in this fine hobby of ours. Sometimes, well, most of the time, especially for us casuals, we allot probably at most an hour. Well, in my case, I would be lucky if I'm able to squeeze in an hour of flight time. But really, there's this thing about having the best value for the time that you spend in the game. Of course, if you get shot down a lot, I mean, how is that having the best value for the time that you spend on this hobby? Now, before pushing any further or discussing any further, yeah, I actually got some messages from some folks. Basically, what they're saying based on the last video was, why do you keep using your brains? We fly for fun! We just charge in! We fly! You got no balls! You're playing hide and seek too much. But really, there will always be someone higher up the ladder than me. So, while I'm not above fighting up close, well, where's the fun in charging in and being a free meal or a free kill for the red team? I mean, there's nothing wrong with charging in. If they can pull it off, that's perfectly fine, and I respect that. There's inherently nothing wrong with it. But in my case, and me being the first to admit that I'm a piss poor dogfighter, that's not exactly my idea of fun. I mean, again, sure, you charged in, but at the end of the day, you got shot down more times than you can count. Where's the fun in that, right? Now, going back to maximizing your time or flight time, I'm pretty sure some of you are wondering, why do I fly in the manner that I do? It's simple. Going back to what I said earlier, I have long accepted that there will always be someone who is one step above me on the ladder, the proverbial ladder, or simply said, there will always be someone who's better than me. So, what is the best way to address that? In my case, I use tactics. As you can see on my replay videos, I make sure that when I tackle an opponent, I have the odds stacked into my favor. And now, some of you might be saying, now that's not very sporting. Well, that's true, but considering the planes that I'm using or that you guys have seen me use, probably wading into a dogfight and engaging in a turf fight isn't exactly the smartest thing for me to do. Well, then again, I guess some of those folks who commented probably wants to see me as a free kill. Well, I mean, who wouldn't want to see their opponents become a free kill for themselves, right? And then there's another thing about a discrepancy among the available control options in Metalstorm. With regards to using the on-screen joystick or the gyro, us folks who use both either controls are at a disadvantage compared to the PC users that or the on-screen touch control, where it's essentially a mouse. So when you compare both, or when you compare those types of control systems, when it comes to a dogfight, the ones who have the advantages are the ones who have the on-screen cursor or the ones who are on the computer. Mostly because combat has been very much simplified for them. Now, it may sound cheating, but it really isn't. And at the end of the day, when it comes to these kinds of games, it's similar to combat in such a way that the more convenient things are for you, the less things that you have to attend to, then the more that you can actually easily focus on the fighting part. Now, looking at the screen over here, as you can see, okay, this is a replay, well, my most recent Eagle replay. And as you can see, well, of course, I got lucky with the bots that I got on this one. Let's just say they help big time. But bots aside, knowing that there's an F-14, a live F-14 on the other team that can easily shoot at me from pretty much the other side of the map, I chose to deny him the chance to shoot at me, and I made sure that he won't be able to take a shot at me, as you can see in this video. I mean, sure, as you can see, I only got 2 kills in this match, but those 2 kills are very clean, and I didn't get shot down at least once. Now, I'm not trying to brag, and in all fairness to the other guy, it's not exactly an easy task to get back to the other guy who shot you down if the bots on your team aren't doing their bit. So kudos to him for trying to carry the fight. And then back to me, let's just say I didn't give him the chance to get back at me. So as you can see, in this match, I maximized my time so that, well, I maximized it by making sure that I win. So as far as I'm concerned, winning is a bonus. I mean, no, scratch that. At the end of the day, I always try to make it a point that when I get into a match, I'm on the winning side. And getting the MVP is actually the bonus. So, going by this replay, what lessons can we take from this? Well, first of all, going back to one of the things that I said earlier, I stacked the odds into my favor. So how do we do that? The first thing that one has to do is to know the plane that they're using. So in my case, the F-15. I use it, and well, let's just say it's the second plane that I upgraded to level 20, and it's not a rush upgrade. So pretty much I'm more or less familiar with the F-15 and Metalstorm. So in the case of you guys who are listening or watching this, it doesn't matter whether you're using the same plane that I'm using. At the end of the day, it's best that you have a feel for the plane that you're using. And then, of course, it also helps a lot that you know what to expect from your opponent's planes. So as you can see in this replay, I'm very much aware about the F-14's capabilities. Well, it helps that I also have the F-14. So if you know what the other guy is capable of, then you'll know how to react, you'll know how to plan ahead, you'll know what to do in order to secure the win. I mean, let's get real. Who in their right mind would actually fly straight towards someone they know that can take them down from afar? Right? I mean, okay, yes, newbies, but they have the excuse of being newbies. If you've been playing this game for at least a month, you're already past the honeymoon stage of plane levels 1 to 8, trophy counts 1 to 599 or whatsoever. Then you should already be aware of what the other planes can do to you by virtue of either facing them in matches or by having those planes yourselves. And speaking of which, I've seen a lot of people ask, do we really need to get all of these planes? I mean, there are some planes that you can't avoid getting. The earliest, well, the most notorious among them would be the A6, simply because it's the only plane available on that hangar level, and one has to get them in order to proceed to the other hangar levels. But I've noticed that the wisdom that many of these people who ask about skipping planes is that, sure, you want to skip a plane. That's understandable. You're not feeling it. That's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, by having that plane and trying it out for yourself, you'll know what it's capable of. Because facing an opponent or a specific plane in Metalstorm as part of the red team is just half of the story. The other half comes from personally experiencing it. So that's pretty much well, let's just say I could drone on and on about this, but that's pretty much how that's the aspect of knowing your plane and knowing your opponents. Now, but for the other stuff when it comes to stacking the odds into your favor, of course, it's a given. You have to look at the map. I mean, you can get away with winning a match or some matches without looking at the map, but really, The map isn't just there as a decoration. It's not just there to tell you where that incoming missile is coming from. The, always look at the map. It has a wealth of information to tell you where your opponents are, where they're heading, and using that information, it will also allow you to make calculated decisions on how to best the enemy. And then, of course, since we're talking about the map, we're going to talk about positioning. But before anything else, I'd like to share this video that was shared by Bread and Circus. Yes, that same guy who shared the video his F about his F5 baiting an A6 into a climb. Yes, that same guy. Now, on this video, he's using an F35 to take down a good number of opponents. Now, how does this relate to maximizing your flight time? Well, it's all about knowing your plane and knowing your opponents. The reason why, well, as you can see here, Bread is supremely confident in his familiarity with the F35 that he was able to pull off that kill streak and get away with it. I mean, yes, sure, the F-35 has stealth. That's a big plus. But, I mean, at the distance that he's engaging his opponents, I'm pretty sure one of those would have a heat seeker or two that they can chuck at him, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, Brad was able to pull off his kill streak beautifully. Anywho, let's get back to the subject of positioning. And while we're on the topic of positioning, okay, so in this video, you can see me fly with a squad name by the name of Silent Death. Yes, he's a very good flyer. There's not much to be said actually. I mean, he flies smoothly. And as you can see in this video, we're flying against a pair of live Mirage F1s. Now, you guys might be wondering, what does this have to do with position? Well, frankly speaking, as you can see here at the start of the video, when the video started, or the replay started, both Silent Death and I went vertical. Now, you guys might be wondering, what? Going vertical? You're an open, you're a big fat target up in the sky. Normally, yes. But in this case, since the red team didn't have long shooters of their own, like a rival F-14 or maybe a MiG-31 or F-111 or even a J-20, then we were able to take the high ground. Yes, I know. High ground, Star Wars. Oh, speaking of which, when it comes to stacking the odds, always try to fly with a wingman, a live wingman. It helps a lot. So going back to the topic of positioning, as you can see here, by being at a higher altitude, we have better leverage for our missiles. Now, as you can see here, while Silent Death went about his business taking the fight up close to the opposing team, I took the liberty of becoming the bait, and amusingly enough, many on the red team tried to bite the bait. So now, as you guys can see here, I'm not exactly making it personal by taking down that Mirage F1 that I took down earlier. Well, actually, Silent Death and I shot at that same Mirage, and mine happened to be the finishing shot. Now, I'm not exactly making it personal by targeting live opponents, but generally speaking, I consider live opponents to be more dangerous than bots, for the simple reason that you can always count on bots to be unreliable. If they do good, then they do good. But generally speaking, you can always count on them to fail you. So as you can see, my flight style is always baiting them towards my bots in the hopes that my newly resurrected bots would be firing at my pursuers. That being said, the two live F1s fought hard, but at the end of the day, they fell to the positioning that Silent Death and I practiced. As you can see here, yeah, the one time I got shot down here, I got fragged by bots. It was bots who fragged me. Again, let's just say I don't exactly give away free kills just like everyone else. But if ever I got shot down, I always try to make it a point that it would be a bot that does me in. But if I get outsmarted, then hats off to the guy who shot me down. Going back to this replay, yeah, I'm sure you guys are saying, must be thinking, how the hell did these two take down two live Mirage F1s? The Mirage F1 is supposed to be overpowered. It's a black market plane. Well, as you can see, we used our brain. We did our best to maximize our flight time. Well, let's just say Metalstorm, just like any other competitive game, is a game of Schadenfreude, which is German for happiness at the misfortune of others. Well, of course, you can't expect to win all the time, and don't worry. While on all of my videos, it's victories that are seen, I definitely have my fair share of defeats. So basically, what I've been trying to share here, there's nothing inherently wrong with just charging in, aka fly for fun. But personally, well, what can I say? If your idea of fun is to wade in and be a free kill to someone who's much better than you, then I respect that. But if you're able to pull it off and be the better pilot, then hats off just the same. But for me, since I don't have the luxury of spending too much time on my hobby, and I believe I'm not alone here, maximizing your flight time is actually the best way to go around with getting the best value for the time that you spend on the game. So with that being said, yeah, I think we've got all of those points covered in spite of me droning on. And for the next topic, I'll do my best to cover teamwork, flying as a team, and pretty much trying to make sure that when you get into a match, you're not the underdog. So yeah, thanks for dropping by and good hunting.